Okay. So, these 16 ascendants, Parashara calls these 16 divisions Shodasha. Shodasha means 16. It's just a Sanskrit word for 16. Varga is divisions, and they are called 16 ascendants. So what we are going to study today is the ascendant in each of these 16 divisions. And the ascendant lord in these 16 divisions. These two things. Ascendant in the 16 divisions and the lord of the ascendant in the 16 divisions. So for that I need to understand what happens when each of the 12 signs is in the ascendant. Like for example, we talk of Mesha Lagna, Aries Lagna, Taurus Lagna, Gemini Lagna. What is the real meaning of that? So we'll go through that quickly before we go into the divisions. Now, these are the 16 divisional charts. Okay? We are going to try to say these names because then we can articulate the words. At least once. D1. Now for each of these numbers, you will use D. Like D1. Means it's the first division, where each sign is 30 degrees. It's called a Rashi. So this is the main chart, and it is for everything. It's an overall study of the chart. This is what you already know, the D1 chart. The D2 chart is called Hora. It is for prosperity and wealth. So if you don't know this chart, you really don't know whether you're going to have money or not, and what's giving you money, and what you need to do to have money.
I've noticed that some programs, the charts are massively different.
Yes. They are different because the programmers didn't spend enough time with me. Honestly, both of them are my students. This guy is my student, the other guy is also my student. So it's just a question of, the other guy has now gone tangentially somewhere else, so he's just going to end up spoiling that software.
Jyotish Star and the...
Sri Jyotish Star is improving day by day,
Right.
the other one is going down.
Okay.
It's already doing some very crazy calculations.
And Parashara is not as good.
Parashara, I have to meet that guy and start talking to him. The last calculations I saw was pretty...
So what should we use? The Sri
Sri Jyotish Star is the best.
For these charts?
For all these charts, stick to Sri Jyotish Star.
Good. Thank you.
If you have Sri Jyotish Star, don't compromise, use that. You are lucky to have it. It's expensive. But it's, you pay what you get. I mean, you get what you pay for, right? Is that what Americans say?
Yes, you get what
And it's so right. Believe me. It has a built-in ephemeris, it has a built-in latitude, longitude. You feel in the place and it's done. And it's accurate. It has built-in time zones and all that thing, including historical time zones built in.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome work.
Yeah, the free one doesn't have it. I have to look it up on the internet.
Yeah. So, okay, D3, Drikkana. Drikkana is a Sanskrit word. When it went to the Middle East, they called it Drishkana. And then when it went further west, they call it Deccanate. So you see how the word has traveled from India to Europe. Okay, then this is for siblings. And there are different types of it. There are 4 or 5 different varieties. I know at least 5 varieties of this. Well, but what Parashara says is this for siblings, and there is other for karma, and also for checking whether you want to be celibate or you are running after some lady or something like that. You know, those details I can tell you. In fact, somebody challenged me once in Washington, and I told him the exact date from when to when he was celibate and in an ashram. After that day, the guy stopped his practice and he started learning Jyotish. From this day, you gave up your celibacy, you ran after your wife and you married her and you got kids. So that guy was like, he never believed that stars did it. He thought he decided it. And if he decided it, how come I can tell the dates? Right?
But when someone slips through their karma and pulls out what they want, is that also in the chart?
No. That's not in the chart, but that's in Prashna. I know how to catch that also. Prashna. Okay. D4. Chaturthamsha. First, this last 4 words, Amsha. So, Chaturtha, Amsha. So you're always going to break up these words, take that amsha part out and then say that and then amsha. Okay? So chaturtha amsha. Now that's for residences, properties, home, building a home, all that comes from here. Saptamsha, D7. Saptamsha, children, grandchildren. Nava Navamsha. That's for spouse. It's a general overall well-being. It sort of is the base for the Rashi chart. You really cannot study a D1 chart or Rashi chart if you don't study the Navamsha chart. Because it is that which supports what is manifesting. It's like the thing, behind every successful man there's a lady telling him what to do. It fully applies out here. The Rashi chart just cannot stand over there without the Navamsha. The Navamsha is not visible, but it needs to be there. Then only life is fulfilled. Okay? D10, Dashamsha. This is for work, profession. What are you going to do? How you are doing it? Whether you're working well, are you creating a name out of it? Are people appreciating your work? Or are you one of those who are destined to sit quietly and work quietly without anybody even recognizing it? It's fine if it is. It all depends on what shows over there. You just have to remember that you have to manifest your karma and do it nicely. And face it nicely. D12, Dwadash Amsha. That's for parents, grandparents, and all the living elders, basically. This is what I use to exactly pinpoint when parents are going to die. What diseases they will have, how will they die, what is exactly happening to them right now. What did they do in their lives when you were growing up? Was the relationship good or was the separation? Every little detail I can tell about parents. I have done that with some of you. You know that. Quite a lot of detail. Then D16, Sodash Amsha. This is your joy from within. Things that give you comfort and enjoyment, like a nice chair to sit in, like a nice room. Whether you are living in a house which has got a air conditioning working or not, or whether the sewage is getting spoiled all the time. All those things come over here, D16 chart. Extent of your comfort. How comfortable are you in your life? Then D20, Vimsh Amsha. This is all spiritual undertakings, all spiritual studies, all your siddhis. How are you progressing spiritually? Is your chakra opening up? All very detailed. Very detailed. How much of knowledge will you have? How much of spiritual knowledge can you really have? No.
I mean, for spiritual knowledge, your luggage.
Okay. D24, Siddhamsa. Siddha. This is from Siddhis. How much effort are you putting in to get the material and spiritual knowledge? And in which directions are you getting the knowledge? Like, are you learning mathematics, or are you going to study science or physics or what? This is the chart I use normally for children to tell them exactly which college they should go to. Are you going to go to engineering, or will you do better with the art subject? I also use this to guide people when they ask me, I have an option to go and learn, let us say, Hatha Yoga, or I want to go and attend Michael's class. Who is Michael, by the way? I don't know. Right. Brahma Rishi's class. Good, good. You people are smart, huh? Okay. So like that, And what exactly? Will you go there? When should you go? What date you should go? I can tell quite a, you really can see how you are developing. Are you putting an effort over there? Are you really thinking, or you're too busy cooking your lunch? People can spend 5 hours just cooking lunch and then eat it and then rest for 2 hours and then again start cooking dinner. There's nothing wrong with that if cooking becomes spiritual also. You see the point here? The point is, are you thinking of the spiritual thing when you are cooking? If you are, then that spiritual energy enters the food, and everybody who eats it starts becoming more spiritual. That's important. So let's understand about siddhis. Siddhis we see from Siddhamsa. And you can have material knowledge siddhi, you can have spiritual knowledge siddhi. Most people go for the material knowledge, which we call the lunar knowledge. Whereas the spiritual knowledge is called the solar knowledge. Okay? Then we have a D27 chart called the Bhamsha. Bhamsha. Bhamsha really tells us what are your mental strengths and weaknesses. Where are you weak? What do you need to do to get over your weaknesses? Because all weaknesses are first in the mind before they manifest. You first become an alcoholic in your head before you become an alcoholic in the pub. Every kind of weakness that you have in any form or manner, including weakness for chocolate, must manifest first in your head in the D27 division. And it's called D27 because there are 27 constellations. It simply tells that each of these division is mapping into one of the constellations. So you see, your brain, although you may be born in one part, your brain is actually mapping into some other type. So you could be born, let us say, in Aries. In the beginning of Aries, if you are born, if your ascendant is, let's say, in the first 1 degree something of Aries, you map into Ashwini Nakshatra. If it is in the last part of Aries, you are mapping into Revati Nakshatra. So your whole brain configuration is different. Somebody with Ashwini mapping will be very interested in health, will be studying about herbs. Whereas somebody with Revati mapping is more interested in the music and art. So you have a same Rashi chart. These two kids will probably be born about an hour apart. But one is completely going towards music and the other is going towards medicine. Do you see the difference?
So that's how you help even rectify times.
Exactly. Yeah. To really catch where the brain is going. Based upon that and the planets that are weak in that chart, the special chart, I get to know what weaknesses this person has. I can misuse it. If I know somebody's weaknesses, you can easily misuse it. But as a Jyotishi, we are here to help, not to do that. So once you know somebody's weaknesses, you have to firstly remember, it is a weakness because they can't see it. They cannot see it because it's in the head. The head is already justifying that's okay. That's why they are doing it. So we need to know this. And if I can start strengthening this, I become mentally very strong. There are some people who are mentally very strong and they can do things as and when they want. But we should not be becoming stubborn where we are clinging to bad things. So we need an intelligent mind, a discerning intelligence. D27 is for that. Trimshamsha. You can't do much out there. Trimshamsha. Yeah, it's like trimming, trim something, like trimming your wings, like clipping your wings. It's punishing. How will I be punished? What diseases will I get? How deadly will be the diseases? Will I have to go to hospital for this? All details. What is the nature of my doctor? Should I go home to do the operation or should I do it where I am? Every little detail is there. Interesting, very interesting. Now these last 3 divisions have to do with the past life karma, or what we call past karma, not just past life, past karma. D40 has to do with the mother's lineage. If you have an issue with your mother, it could be because of not just mother, it could be because of mother's lineage. You often just don't get along with your mother and you don't know why I don't get along, because otherwise superficially everything seems fine. Then the problem is with the mother's lineage, and it is really not mother. You can't see the lineage. The lineage is behind the mother. So you can't see that. What you're seeing is the mom in front. So you have a problem over there. So you need to study this in order to understand whether the problem with your mom or your mom's family is something more deeper, or is it at a more superficial level. If there is karma over here, you will suffer because of the mother's lineage. Here, Aksha Vedamsa. Aksha Veda Amsha. Aksha means indestructible, that which cannot be destroyed. Aksha. Veda, knowledge. Pure knowledge. Veda is pure knowledge. Amsha, division. That which comes through the soul of the father. You see, what happens is when you are to be created, it is the father's lineage that is giving a spark of the sun. It is through the spark of the sun that your soul is traveling into the body of your father. From the body of the father, it is delivered to the body of the mother, and that's how the child is born. So really, your father carries you for 30 days. It can be 1, it can be 30. Before you are delivered to your mom who delivers you. So before the period of pregnancy, just before a woman becomes pregnant, the father loses his head. Because he gets a spark. It's like a shock. It is that spark that drives him mad. Have you seen elephants in rut? Male elephants in rut go completely mad. Human being is a tiny manifestation of that rut, but it is there. Men also have rut. They have a similar problem. They go berserk. They go out of control. That is what is called aksha. It is that energy that comes inside them is indestructible. What is indestructible? The soul. Everything else is destroyed. So this tells us how the soul traveled. Was it a good lineage through which he came? Or does it have very heavy karma which he has to manifest? Is the father's lineage suffering huge destructions and pain? Then that weight of the pain will also show. Jews. The Jews have suffered immensely in the hands of some devils. What happens to the father's lineage over there? If the father is a Jew, then obviously that burden is there. Who else has that kind of a suffering? Even worse, the Chinese. The Chinese people suffered. Have you heard of the rape of Nanking? You see, the thing is, the Jews' suffering was documented. It's Europe. Europe is very well documented. But Asia, it's all brushed under the carpet. Hush, hush. The way the Chinese people suffered, even when we in India hear about it, we shudder. Oh my God, Shiva saved us, thank God. That we can't see. Because, you see, the Japanese can be extremely brutal. The samurais, like, they can be extreme. And the way they punish the Chinese. So what happens to the generations of Chinese after that? There is a burden. And the spirit is not free. Because it is carrying that burden. It is weak. Burden. You see, like you put a huge burden on your shoulder, you get bent. People can flog you, you'll walk along, you'll trudge along. It's okay to flog me. Basically, it's not you, but you're carrying the burden of the father's lineage. So what happens? You accept something like a communist regime. You accept communism. It's good to be communist. Why? We all live together, there will be one head, he will tell us go there, like sheep we will go. It's the sheep mentality. That freedom you don't want, because you're not ready for it. Maybe you are ready for it, but you're carrying the burden. So it is very important to cleanse this burden. There's a nice book, The Rape of Nanking. Read that. Rape of Nanking. R-A-P-E, rape of O-F, Nanking, N-A-N-K-I-N-G. Read it. That girl committed suicide. She was an American, the author of that book. Read about it. Why she committed suicide? What happened to her when she actually started documenting the evidence for the book? She was an American girl who was in university, started documenting the evidence. Went there, started documenting. And what came out, she couldn't deal with it. She went to the psychiatrist, she went for treatment. Too much. Of course.
I mean, I know the gist of it. Do I need to revel in it?
How else will you understand D45? And tomorrow a girl like that will come to you, will you be able to save her? Jyotish is serious business. It's like a doctor. Oh my God, I don't want to cut the skin. How else somebody with a tumor will come to you? How are you going to deal with that? People who come to you are people who have come because they are suffering. If you are not prepared to deal with it, don't learn Jyotish. I want to be blissful. I want to be in my little enclosure. It's a very selfish thing. Imagine if God also decided to say that. Where would you be?
We wouldn't be here.
Caught you. Caught you. Caught you. It's okay. Yeah, if Brahma Rishi says, you all can go. I'm tired of you. Where do you stand? Where do you stand?
Alone.
And what does that mean really? That means nothing. It's like the carpet has been swept off your foot. Yes, wasn't that really? It's like this. When we accept that we are going to deal with the problems of other people, we believe somewhere the Lord is also saying, good, you are a good person, I will now start dealing with your life. It's a choice we make, right? That's why I'm talking so much about these things. Because ultimately you got to deal with karma, and karma is the past. And the past comes from these three charts. D40, D45 and D60, which is past life karma. With the D60 chart, a day should come, you should be able to read the whole life of the person from birth till death in the immediate past birth. D60 chart.
In the D60 chart.
Past life. You see this?
Yeah.
Sashti Amsha.
You said you should be able to look at that chart.
And read the whole life.
Their
Well,
whole current life.
No.
Past life.
Oh, okay. Oh, their whole past.
What you were in the past life,
I got
your likes and dislikes. Are you, for example, I saw this once for a person, I said, are you scared of water? I said, yes. How did you guess? Because you drowned last life.
So it's just the last.
The last human life. The last human life. Because that is a major record. If between that you become a bird or a little butterfly and thing like that, it doesn't really record that. Because there's not much karma. It's just burning of little karma.
And is the impact of the last human life the most powerful?
Yeah.
For sure. Okay.
Because that's the most recent memory.
Okay.
Like yesterday has the maximum impact on today.
I don't know about that.
Right. So yesterday you may not, say, yesterday you may be a little butterfly, so it may not have a, yesterday as a human would have a most big impact. Right.
Some days have more intense experiences have a stronger impact than yesterday did.
Exactly. So yesterday was like a butterfly rebirth, and that big thing, big impact was like a human birth.
I understand what you're saying.
See the difference?
Yes. Some days are like butterflies in our life.
Some days are like butterflies. They just pass. You don't even know. And some days are like heavy karma manifesting. So it's like that. It's like that with life. That is life. So did you get this? 16 charts. You have a role to play in each of these 16 charts. Because it's your parents, your brothers, your children, or your adopted kid is still your child. Your grandchildren. So you are the ascendant in every chart. So ascendant or lagna is just me. And the beauty is, me thinks, me I'm perfect. Me thinks me am perfect.
Oh, I think I'm perfect.
That's right. And why did I say it like that? Because it means you think you're perfect, but you're not. That's why I say, me thinks me am perfect.
Yeah.
Me am not perfect. Right? Okay.